Welcome to our segment tonight about our float competitions. One of the things that we take great pride in at the convention is our competition series. But one of the things that we strive for very, very hard at Float is to make the competitions as fair and as even-handed as possible, and at the same time reflective of our new generation of balloon people. So with that being said, I do want to take just a moment to introduce you to this year's competition team. Taking over as competition director this year is Mr. Ryan Farewell, and working side by side with him is a fabulous competitor herself from Float. With that being said, I want to bring both of those individuals onto the show. So hi, everybody. Good to see you guys. Ryan, how the heck are you?
Awesome, man. Excited to be
Working
here.
that hat. That's all I got to say. And Laurel, how about you?
I'm good. I had to go with the cold weather hat because it's getting cold here.
It is kind of funny that all three of us have headgear on, which I think is really interesting during the course of this call. But there you go. So, all right. So with that being said, so Ryan, you were helping Sean last year with the competition, and this year you've taken over that role as director. So what are you most excited about with the convention?
I'm excited to see what these people are going to bring to the table. Really excited to be a part of the competition. I remember one year helping John Justice do something, and it was so exhilarating and thrilling. And now being able to help these competition people do it and see it all go, it's going to be awesome.
That was the really cool Asian entrance, right?
Yes,
what John did. Yeah, that was really, really good.
That was really hard.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that was one of those pieces that's a victim of reality at that venue. Because for those of you that aren't familiar, they made this really cool circular entrance that looked like the entrance to a Chinese garden or something like that. But the way it was designed, it was very narrow in the middle. And unfortunately, that was also a room that people had to use on a regular basis throughout the convention. And that poor thing got the crap beat out of it.
Yeah.
It really did. It really did. So there you go. Laurel, as a recent competitor and award winner, right? As a recent competitor award winner, what's the one thing you would share with the competitors before, if they're thinking about competing, and what should they know?
I think what you do here is so great. I'm a person who wants all the information. And so if you can't catch it tonight, catch the replay, listen to all this stuff, read through all the rules, actually read through them. And if you have questions, ask. Because if you don't ask the question beforehand, we might not be able to help you out. But Ryan and I have looked over everything. We're trying to make it as clear as possible for people. But just prepare. Go into it with a plan, and get as much information as you can beforehand, I think. So this is the episode to watch. So,
and I do want to remind everybody that this episode, this portion of the show, will be a separate recording and upload it to the YouTube channel to what, so that way people can refer to it and go back and forth. And the venue, our new venue, is very exciting because we're still limited on some of the space because of what we have, but we have, but we've got some new and exciting stuff that I can't wait for everybody to see. So that's cool. So guys, thank you very much for taking time out of your very busy lives to join us tonight. Thank you so much. And again, thank you very much for being part of the team this year. I am so excited to be working with both of you, and I can't wait to, complain about you the entire time. So,
yes.
No, but thank you very much. Really, really appreciate you. Thank you guys. You guys take care. Have a good night. Okay. So with that being said, we are literally going to take the time right now to review all of the rules for the general competitions. There are 33 of them, but we're going to make it quick, and we're just going to kind of bullet point them, and the rules themselves will expand upon this. And there have been some changes to the general rules that you need to keep in mind, so let's get going. First of all, if you are competing at Float in the designer challenges, in the competitions, the Designer of the Year competitions, you must be a registered guest at the Grand Sierra Resort Hotel. This also goes for members of your team. Unless, of course, the exception is if you live within 30 miles of the hotel. If you can prove residence within 30 miles of the hotel, you are an exception. But other than that, everyone must be staying at the host hotel in order to be on a team or be a designer. Number two, oh, well, there you go. I'm sorry, it's a different thing. Number two, everyone on your team must be a fully registered delegate for 2026. This has now happened multiple years in a row where someone has showed up and said, oh, but my husband's going to be helping me. No, he's not unless he's registered to attend float as a fully registered academic delegate. You cannot be a weekend pass holder. You cannot be a jam pass holder. You cannot be a foundation pass holder. You cannot be, well, you can be an international, but you can't, you got to be fully registered for academia at float, okay, in order to be on a team, period. You can, again, I understand that your husband or your spouse or your kid or whatever may be your right-hand person every day at your business, but they have to be registered in order to be on your team. Number three, you are responsible for building your team. Please do not depend on float staff to assist you. You cannot ask teachers to help you. You cannot ask, teachers are not allowed to compete. You cannot show up and then try to, I mean, I would not recommend showing up and trying to build a team. This is something you need to put together in advance. We cannot be responsible for finding you people. This has happened again on multiple occasions. Number four, due to the spatial limitations of our venue. Yes, even though we're in a much larger venue, this year we've decided to keep this policy in place. All Designer of the Year competitions are limited to 10 entries. 10 entrance decor pieces, 10 centerpieces. Well, actually, centerpiece is one we could probably go bigger. 10 column entries, 10 organic pieces, 10 sculpture entries. Again, until we thought to ourselves we probably could do more, but this year we've decided to play it safe. And until we're more familiar with the venue actually producing there as opposed to just walking through it, we've decided we're going to wait this time around and just limit it once again to 10 entries. Competitors are limited to only one entry in each of the competitions. So in other words, you cannot enter entrance decor twice. You can't enter 3 centerpieces. You can enter 1. So each competitor is allowed to enter 1 competition entry per competition. Okay? So there's that. Number 6, you are responsible for product, regardless of whether or not it's supplied by our sponsors. Keep in mind, many of our competitions this year are sponsored, which means our sponsors will provide you with free balloons. But at the end of the day, you are still responsible for making damn sure your stuff is there. Okay? It has happened before where stuff has been shipped to float, a storm hits, and suddenly none of the product is there. And people are going, how am I supposed to build? You got to plan for contingencies. Okay? You got to plan for contingencies. There was even one, I'll never forget Float 2010. Literally, one of our sponsors, the skids never got picked up. They put the skids on the back dock. They all got on planes and flew to float. Skids apparently been sitting outside for 3 days. Never got picked up. At the end of the day, we cannot spend hours of our time prepping the convention trying to track down product. So you need to be planning for this if it should happen. Okay? Number 7, your entries are your property unless you don't follow strike rules. At the end of the day, things you bring out there, it's all yours. Okay? But when it's time to strike your stuff and you're not there to strike it and you disregard that, whatever's there is gone. I don't care if it's base plates. I don't care if it's hardware. I don't care if it's digital equipment. Doesn't matter what it is. If you're not there to collect it or you don't have someone there to collect it, it's going to be basically absorbed and tossed out or whatever. So please keep that in mind when planning to compete. You and your team are taking part at your own risk to yourself and to your possessions. Okay? Float cannot assume any responsibility for anything that you do. We can't assume responsibility for anything you bring with you. If you bring your own Legenda with you, or you bring your own Conwin dual sizer or whatever, and someone walks off with it, we can't be held responsible for that. You are entering this competition at your own risk. Okay? If somebody gets hurt, we had 1 year where 4 people were sent to the hospital. Not for competing. Only one of them was because of a competition. But at the end of the day, someone did actually get hurt. In fact, that person is on the live call tonight. So things do happen. Please understand, we do keep, I mean, you are doing this at your own risk. And Float does reserve the right to ask you for proof of business insurance to cover yourself. With any competition at Float, no trademarked or copyright recreations without the expressed written permission of the copyright or trademark holder. This is called intellectual property. Okay? Nothing that's branded. No Star Wars stuff. No cartoon characters. None of it. None of it. If you do it, you are disqualified. You can still make it, but you're disqualified. Okay? If you are able to secure permission, it's happened. I've done it. I did it once, and I got it. I couldn't believe I got it. But if you can get permission, we have to have documented written permission by December 15th. Okay? I'll go into it later if you want, but I actually did. My Mr. Potato Head, I actually did get permission to do that. I still to this day, I couldn't believe it. I was already working on Plan B. Number 10, everyone is there to compete in the spirit of good-natured fun and fairness. Anyone that engages in unethical or unprofessional behavior will result in an immediate disqualification. If you get caught trying to cheat in a competition, you get caught trying to sabotage someone else's entry, you're out. I don't care. You're out. Period. Okay? Number 11, our charming competition director reserves the right to make all decisions with regard to infractions and disqualifications. So in other words, if Ryan feels that you did something wrong and you're disqualified, you're disqualified. Don't come to me. He's the director. Okay? Number 12, you are responsible for any rules broken by any of your team members during a competition. So it is very important that you make sure your competition team knows what the rules are. Okay? So again, it could be completely innocent, but you don't want someone to go out and screw your possibility of being designer of the year because they did something that they didn't know. So please make sure that you spend some time with your team so they know what's going on. Number 13, you cannot enter an entry in more than one competition. You cannot, for example, design 2 columns, enter it as the entrance decor, and then resubmit them. Oh, that's my entry for column also. No. They must be separate entries. Okay? So in the case here, you can't claim... You could do that in the floaties, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, but you cannot do that in a designer competition. Number 14, if tape is used to mark the space that you are working within, you cannot remove that tape until the competition team tells you to do so. We have to verify that you are within the lines of the competition space before that tape is pulled. You can sit here all day long and say, but I don't want that in the picture. I get it. Nobody wants it in the picture. Then wait and have us measure. And once it's done and once we've assessed that you're fine, then you can pull the tape and then you can take your pictures. But people in the past have gone over and they pull the tape. Oh, I didn't know. So there you go. Don't do it. Pulling your tape will get you disqualified. So don't pull the tape. And don't move it. Number 15, we are not in California, folks. California balloon laws pertaining to foil balloons do not apply to our competitions at all. That means you do not have to follow the whole single weight thing. You don't have to follow the single balloon on a weight thing. Nope, you can do whatever you want. We're not in California. This is a rule that may be withdrawn. No fog, smoke, bubble, or CO2-based effects machines are allowed. However, it is my understanding that the hotel may very well allow these. Dear God, you're in Reno. It's like a convention town, so to speak. There's all kinds of dramatic stuff that goes on there. It is very possible that they will allow those to be used. And if they do, then we will withdraw this rule or we will adjust the rule. And we'll notify everybody that you can use them. Okay? Now, keep in mind, just because you can use a device doesn't necessarily mean you should. Okay? And keep in mind that along these lines, the competition director reserves the right to turn off said equipment should you be interfering with someone else's entry. No overtime is allowed in Designer of the Year competitions anymore, period. We used to have this whole setup where you would have penalty points. That's gone. You're either done or you're not. So when the time is up, you're either done or you're not. If you're not done, you get a score of a 0. So I would suggest you turn it in regardless and just say, okay, I'm done. So that way you can at least be scored on what's there. But we're no longer doing late points because it just got to the point where we weren't getting enough time between competitions. So there we go. Number 18, vinyl and like appliques and things can be pre-cut and signage can be made prior to the competition. However, you cannot apply vinyl to any balloon or any signage or no, I'm sorry, not signage. A sign is fine. That can be pre-made. But you cannot apply any vinyl to any backdrop. You cannot apply it to any balloon. You can pre-cut it, you can stage it, you can weed it, you can do all that. But you cannot put it in place until the competition is live. And if you are going to use signage in your space, whether you, like, say you want to have a little sign explaining about this, okay? Say you want a sign explaining about, like explaining your piece, all of it has to fit within the confines of your space. This includes the centerpiece competition. You cannot design a centerpiece and then put a sign next to it. Now, this time around, we might. And I'll explain that. There may be an adjustment there too, but I will explain that when we get to it, okay? So there's that. 19, this is a major change to the rules. Due to the nature of the balloon industry now, pre-made framing kits may be used in our Designer of the Year competitions. So if you are one of those people that goes out and if you're one of those people that goes out and buys pre-made kits and frames and that's how you build your stuff, you can use them. We also have sponsors that sell them. DecoChamp sells arch kits. Aeropole, for crying out loud, sells arch kits. And I'm sure there's other folks. I'm sure Silver Rainbow, I know they sell some stuff too. So at the end of the day, we're going to allow them. Now, this also means that if you are making your own frames, you will now be allowed to pre-make your frames as well. Yes, I understand that's advantageous to those people that can drive, but that is just the reality of the competition series. People that drive always have an advantage over people that have to fly in because they can bring more stuff from home. It's less expensive. They're not as challenged in that regard. But keep in mind, there's that, okay? Yeah, so there we go. Okay. Now, what you cannot do ahead of time is pre-assemble them. So in other words, if you are using an arch kit, if you're using an Amazonian arch kit, or you're using one of our sponsors' arch kits, or you custom did something at home and you're bringing it, you cannot assemble it until the competition starts. And we will be demanding to see. Okay? Can't do it. Can't do it. And no, if we are providing you conduit, if you're ordering conduit through us and having it delivered to your competition space, you can't pre-cut it. You can't. If you're bringing it from home, you can pre-cut it. So there we go. Number 20. We're going back to this again because it worked so very, very well. Designer of the Year entrance. If you are going to enter as Designer of the Year, you must pay a deposit of $250 that will be refunded to you after you have fulfilled the requirements of the Designer of the Year competition, which means after you have submitted what Ryan and Laurel consider to be viable entries, you will be refunded. And you'll be refunded on site. You'll get your money right then and there. Now, also keep in mind with the same rule, if you cancel for any reason, that money's gone. And it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what it is because waiting lists will form if a competition fills up. if you have now blocked somebody from signing up for a competition, and now they can't compete, or they don't get a spot until 2 weeks before the convention, and now they're rushing. The whole reason we charge the deposits is to force you to think about whether or not you're going to compete. It doesn't matter if somebody takes your spot or not. It doesn't. You will forfeit your deposit if you pay it and then you cancel for any reason. Okay? If you pull out of the competition, or if you cancel your registration, and again, it could be the best reason in the world why you can't come, but you have caused a glitch in the system, and that is what the deposit is for. And okay, so it was 22. I thought I had this in a rule, but I just couldn't remember. So there we go. So rule 22, as I've just stated. 23, you are allowed to use pre-produced music, video, and special effects where permitted, which means you can use lighting. You can have lighting pre-programmed if you want. You can have pre-recorded music that you're going to play in your piece. You could have video segments that are playing in your piece. Again, the competition director does reserve the right to engage or disengage your stuff if it proves to be distracting or disconcerting to another entry. Keep in mind, this is for all of the competitions, all the Designer of the Year competitions. If your stuff requires power, this is not a separate rule, but it probably should be. If your stuff requires power, obviously the power cord is allowed to run outside of your space, but all of your effects and all of your hardware and whatever must be within your competition space. So in other words, if you're going to have speakers in your space, it's got to fit in the confines of where your entry is. Power cord can extend beyond that. That's it. Okay. Also, we ask everyone, we know that someone who is allegedly coming, to float, suffers from strobe reaction. Like she cannot be around strobe effects. So we are asking, do not use strobe effects in your pieces. Number 24, you must adhere to sponsor requirements. So, as I mentioned, several of our competitions are sponsored. If it is sponsored, you have to use those products. You may represent, you may be someone who, I represent Globus Naranja. Well, guess what? Globus Naranja is not sponsoring the entrance competition. Therefore, you have to use blank. Well, I don't want to jeopardize my relationship with Globus Naranja. I understand. Then don't enter. Because if you're going to enter, you have to use these brands. Okay? It's that simple. 25, this is a new rule this year that we need to bring up. Neither float nor the host hotel can store or assure the care of live floral elements acquired for an entry. This conversation came up at the last convention because someone wanted to put live flowers in their organic design, which I thought was a gorgeous concept, but the hotel's like, we're not doing that. We can't put that with the food stuff. We're not doing that, and Float can't take responsibility for it because we don't have anywhere to put it. And we cannot guarantee that your flowers will stay fresh and whatever. So if you plan on using fresh flowers in a competition series, you need to schedule delivery of those pieces to the hotel at a time when you can receive them, literally right before the competition or even during. We can make if we know something's coming, we can make arrangements to assist you with that. But other than that, you can't have flowers delivered on Friday for a Sunday competition. Okay? We just can't guarantee they're going to be alive, and you can't then get mad at us if they don't make it. Number 27, this is another one that we got to talk about. Only designated team members may be involved in setup or cleanup of competition workspaces. So before each Designer of the Year competition, there's a 45-minute period where teams are allowed to come in and set their workstations. Because you're on a time crunch, right? We allow you to come in early, and we encourage you to set up your workstation so that way you don't have to spend time during the competition trying to do that. However, the only people that are allowed to be helping you set up and the only people allowing you to clean up are people that are on your work team. You cannot bring in a group of 10 more people to come in and suddenly help you clean up, because cleanup is just as important to the competition timeline as the competition is. So I would strongly recommend that you plan on cleaning up as you go. In a worst case scenario, Cleanup simply refers to the work area. So if you just got to haul butt and get everything out the door, that's fine. That's fine with me. I don't care. As long as it's out of the room and gone. You don't have to have everything packed up. You can go pack it up in the hallway, but get it out. You've got 30 minutes to clean up. You got 45 minutes to set up, 30 minutes to clean up. Okay, there's that. Number 28, no aerosol-based shine products may be used indoors at a competition, period. The truth of the matter is, this rule is no aerosol-based shine products may be used at float indoors at all. If you play, again, if you have a relationship with a sponsor, I love Mega Shine. Okay, great. I represent them. I have to use Mega Shine. Then you got to take it outside. But it can't go out. It's too big. Then you can't do it. Then you're going to have to use a brand that's non-aerosol based. I've had too many complaints over the last two events, both Fulcrum and Float, of people having very bad adverse reactions to the aerosol-based sprays that were used at the event. I just can't do it anymore. One time we could look at it as, okay, it's a coincidence. Two times you can't. You have to acknowledge it, and you have to do something about it. Again, this is not a disparagement statement against those products. It is simply the fact that those individuals with respiratory situations are highly susceptible to the aerosol and the combination of the aerosol and the chemical and everything else. So we have to do it. Moderate amounts of helium and high float will be provided to all of our competitors should you need it. However, if you decide that you're going to inflate an 8-foot balloon or you're going to blow up 300 helium balloons as part of your entry, Float is not supplying you with that much helium. If so, you will need to secure your own helium. We can arrange ordering it for you. We can arrange addressing that. We can do all that for you. And you'll have to pay for it, obviously. But Float is not going to give you an entire tank to use on your own. In addition to that, this product is all going to be shared amongst the competitors. So everyone will be expected to play nice, and everyone will be expected to use the equipment fairly and equally. Okay? Number 30, all entries must remain on display until 6 a.m. on Thursday, January 29th, unless otherwise directed to do so. So again, in the past, we've had everybody tear their stuff down early because of the whole, like, final night, we got to have this space, we need this, we need that, blah, blah, blah. We're not in that position anymore. And frankly, we'd like to have a situation to where you can be, you and your team can be all dressed up and looking in your best duds and then get a picture with your winning piece, right? So with that being said, all entries must remain on display until 6 a.m. on January 29th, and it must be removed by noon that same day. We have another event coming in right behind us. So all the entries have to be done. If you bail, the one thing we are not doing at Float is sending everyone their prize money. Once you strike your piece, you'll get your prize money. If you bail on it, you forfeit the prize money. It's that simple, okay? You make us clean it up, your prize money's forfeit. Okay. Number 31, once you have declared a piece to be completed, that's it. You're done. You can't go back and undo it. We've allowed that in the past with some of the competitions. Oh, you know what? I want to change something. Okay, go ahead. We're not doing that anymore. Be damn sure you're done. Okay? Be sure you're done. Now remember, in the event of a tie goes to the company that finished first. So a lot of people are like, well, then I'm just not going to be done till the time's up. Well, that's fine. But if you end up with a tie with somebody else and they finished 5 minutes before you did, they win. Because theoretically, they did it more efficiently. So there's that. So keep that in mind. Number 32, anyone who violates the rule about working on pieces after declaring compete will be disqualified. If you say you're done and then Ryan turns his back and then you run over and do something, you have to have Ryan's permission to do, or Laurel's permission to touch anything once you say I'm done. Finally, our competition director reserves the right to make any and all decisions with regard to unforeseen elements or issues. Power goes out in the building. Highly unlikely given the fact that it's a casino. But say power goes out. Say machine burns out. Something happens that causes a significant delay. Ryan has the right to extend the time for that team. Let's say news cameras walk in, not expecting them, not requesting them, but let's say news cameras walk in. If they do, and they want to interview you, you should be allowed a few more minutes to compete. Even though your team can keep going, you're not there to direct them. So Ryan may extend you a courtesy. Or Ryan may just turn around and say to everybody, okay, you know what? 3 or 4 of you got interviewed, the rest of you didn't. I'm giving everybody 30 minutes or whatever. As long as it's even across the board, there's no problem. But again, Ryan is the one who gets to make all those decisions. So if you don't like something, please don't come to me unless it's a direct violation of the rules. And I can assure you that Ryan is absolutely a stickler for the rules. And that's one of the reasons why he's in this position this year. Okay. Now let's get to the juicy stuff. Let's get to the juicy stuff. Let's talk about the specific themes and rules for each individual Designer of the Year competition. You excited? You excited? I know some of you are very excited. All right. So with that being said, we start off with our competition sculpture, our sculpture competition design. Excuse me. So we start off with our sculpture design competition. This competition is taking place on Friday, January 23rd. So this is the first day of our pre-funk events. This is a 12-hour contest. It starts at 8 a.m., ends at 8 p.m. 12 solid hours. There is no break for meals. You got to deal with all that on your own. There is a 45-minute load-in period from 7 a.m. to 7:45 a.m. No, I'm sorry. It's not 45 minutes. It's 30 minutes. I'm so sorry. I've been saying 45 this whole time. It's 30 minutes. It's 7:15 a.m. to 7:45 a.m. Okay? At that point, you'll be stopped. You'll be out of the room. Ryan will then call a meeting with everybody to make sure all the paperwork's taken care of and everything else is good to go. And then there we go. Okay? Then you'll start. And then from 8 to 8:30, you have to clean up. This competition is presented by our friends at Gemar and at Highshine, so we're very excited about that. So Gemar will be providing all of the balloons, both latex and foil. They do have a select line of foil balloons. And if you wish to use those, you are welcome to do so. But again, remember, it must be one that they release. And if you'd like to shine your product, of course, join our friends with Highshine. Of course, they do have a non-aerosol based shine product that you can use on your entries. So there we go. So congratulations. Now let's get to the specifications. What are the specifications of this particular competition? Hold on. Let me refresh my questions and comments and stuff. Okay, there we go. All right. So the theme for this year's sculpture competition is the same as it always is. It is artist's choice. No central theme. You are allowed to make anything that you want to make. Once again, a little bit of information that's not on these slides. Your team can consist of yourself and as many as 9 other crew members. But remember, they are the same crew members throughout the course of the day. You are not allowed to swap out people. Okay? So in other words, what you can't do is you can't have 9 decorators come in and then swap them out with 9 twisters. What you can do is you pick 9 people. They all write their names down. They all sign their names, all that fun stuff. Your name's on there too, and that's your team for the 12 hours. Okay. This year we have expanded the size of the competition space. It is now 10 feet by 10 feet by 10 feet. That is an increase of it was 7 by 7 by 7. Now it is 10 by 10 by 10. We have more room, and therefore we're going to allow you to go bigger. We actually contemplated even going bigger, but we decided this time around, let's ease into it. Let's make sure that we can fit everybody and do what we need to do. So that competition, once again, will be taking place. If you wish to enter again as a Designer of the Year, it would be a $250 deposit. If you wish to enter this competition only, there is a $50 deposit, and that is subject to review based upon availability after the Designer of the Year stuff is done, which we will talk about shortly. Oh, but again, at this time, I want to thank our friends at Gemar and Highshine once again for sponsoring this competition. Okay, entrance decor. This is always a very popular competition. There's no doubt in my mind this will sell out. The entrance decor competition will be taking place Saturday morning, January 24th from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. There will be a staging period from 7:15 a.m. to 7:45 a.m. And then the cleanup period is 12 p.m. to 12:30 p.m. This competition is being sponsored by our friends in part by Anagram. Now, Anagram has chosen at this time to sponsor foil balloons for this competition. This means that currently, while if you want to use foils with your design, you must use Anagram balloons, at this time, the latex side of this competition is wide open. There is a possibility in the very near future that we will secure a latex sponsor that will take that portion on. However, if we do not, you'll be open to any brand that you want to use at all. But it also means you will have to provide it. Okay? So any anagram balloon, any anagram foil balloons that you'd like to use in your entrance decor piece, you are welcome to request from Anagram and they will provide them for you. At this time, the latex side of this will be updated once we know more. But I can assure you right now that if we don't have this resolved in probably the next 2 weeks, it'll stay like this. Now, let's talk about the theme. This year's theme is a whole new dimension, which is outer space / aliens / all that kind of fun stuff. So there is that. The size this year is, this is also a change from last year. The rules are now 13 feet wide by 5 feet deep. We have eliminated the footprint rule entirely. So now the measurements are 13 feet wide by 5 feet deep. The room that this is going to be in has a 20-foot ceiling. So we are not going to, we're not going to limit the height. You just got to deal with the ceiling. But remember, everything has to be freestanding. You cannot rig anything, even with magnets. So there's that. Your team is you and no more than 3 other team members. So you're allowed a complete team of 4. Okay. So there is that. We look forward to seeing what everybody comes up with. Big time fun. This is always a popular event. So keep that in mind. Our brand new competition is column design. We actually borrowed this from the World Balloon Convention, which is no longer in existence. This is replacing the foil design competition that we are no longer doing at Float. So this competition will be taking place in the afternoon. So this will be after the entrance decor competition. This will be Saturday, January 24th from 2:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. We will have a staging period from 1:45 p.m. until 2:15 p.m. and a cleanup period from 6:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. This competition is presented by our friends at Gemar USA. So Gemar is providing latex and foils for this particular competition. So thank you very much to our friends at Gemar for that. And the theme for this competition is the Enchanted Garden. This basically means, because some of you are like, what the hell does that mean? The Enchanted Garden means that you have to combine plant life with some form of fantasy-oriented motif, whether it's gnomes, whether it's pixies, whether it's wizards, whether it's anything, like whatever you want to do in that regard, right? You got to combine nature with that kind of fantasy whimsy, okay? The size for this, by the way, is 5 feet wide by 5 feet deep. Again, you can go as tall as you want as long as it fits in the ceiling. But you have to fit within the footprint of 5 by 5. And as a column design, it has to be built on one base and one primary anchor that goes through the whole thing. It doesn't have to stay that way. It can go up and branch off. You can have branches coming off of it. But what you have to do is there has to be one central frame, one central structure going all the way up the middle, and then you can bring off and you can come off however you want to do. But remember, it's got to fit within the 5 by 5 measurements. Okay. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. You know what? I meant to put this on here and I didn't. It's the same rule as it's the same exact rule as the centerpiece rule. And it used to be the entrance decor rule. Once you reach a certain height at I think it's like 5 feet or whatever. Once you hit 5 or 6 feet, then you're allowed to expand bigger. Okay. But the footprint has to fit within the 5x5. So I need to update this and fix that. So there you go. So yeah, this will be a really fun one because this is open to a lot of different interpretations. So there we go. All right, next up, this is a popular one, the organic decor competition. This is taking place on Sunday, January 25th. This is the morning competition, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. Once again, there will be, I'm sorry, hold on. I failed to mention. Your team, 1 designer and 2 assistants. So you're allowed a total team of 3 people for the column design competition. Okay, there's that. Sorry about that. Okay, organic decor. Sunday morning, 8 to 12. Your prep time is 7:15 a.m. to 7:45 a.m. with cleanup from 12 p.m. to 12:30 p.m. This competition is provided by our friends at Metallic. So all of your latex and all of your foils that you choose to use in this design competition must be provided by our friends at Metallic. Okay? This is a modification of a theme we did years ago, and I loved it. I loved it. And we brought back a modified version so as not to upset our sponsors. This year's theme is monochromatic, which means you're allowed to use one color and variations of that one color. So you can do red. If you do red, you can do pink. You can do fuchsia. You can do pastel pink. You can do matte pink. You can do whatever you want. You could do imperial red, right? But you can't go to orange because that's another color. You can do, there's 1,000 shades of blue. You can do a whole blue thing, but you can't go to teal because now it's blue-green. So this is the kind. So what you've got to do is design your piece with this in mind, okay? So the idea is you have one primary color that you're allowed to choose, and then you're allowed to make variations of that same exact color, use variations of that color throughout your design. 12 feet wide by 6 feet deep. It's in the same room as the 20-foot ceiling, so technically you can go as tall as you want as long as it self-stands and it's all taken care of. You are allowed a total team of 4 people, 1 designer, 3 crew, okay? And once again, big shout out to our friends at Metallic for bringing this competition to life. And finally, bringing up the rear is the table centerpiece competition. This is taking place on Sunday, January 25th from 2:30 p.m. to 4 p.m. This is the 90-minute pressure cooker. Right now, there is no sponsor for this competition. It is presented by yours truly, your friends at Float, which means as of right now, any brand and any balloon manufacturer is allowed to be used in the design of this. This is the one that we may adjust the rule on. And let me explain when we get to that section. This year's theme for the centerpiece competition is celebration of life. What we are asking you to do is to design a table centerpiece for someone you wish to honor who has passed on. It could be a family member. It could be a friend. It could be a pop culture figure. It could be anyone at all, someone that has touched your life, someone that you are passionate about, and someone that you've lost. And so we want you to create a centerpiece celebrating them. This is where I said we might allow a small sign element to go with it so that you can expand upon the individual, but text only. It can't be photos and all that other stuff. Or perhaps one photo, we'll figure it out. Ryan and I will talk about it because this literally hit me like live on the call. This is another one of those footprint rules. You have a 22-inch circular base that you must fit within. After going 36 inches up off the table, you are allowed to expand beyond the 22 inches. But again, up to 3 feet, it's got to fit within the 22-inch cylindrical shape. Okay? And you are allowed one designer and one competitor. Or I'm sorry, one designer and one crew member. Okay? So it's 2 people, 90 minutes. Frankly, that's a lot. It used to be 1 person in 60 minutes. Then we expanded to 2 people, 60 minutes, and then we expanded 2 people in 90 minutes. And even then, people complain they want more time. The answer is no. So this is without question the craziest competition at the thing. So there we go. All right. So that is it for the Designer of the Year competitions. Now this year, we are also going to be hosting 2 deadline contests. These are for people that don't want to enter the Designer of the Year stuff, and they're not good with performing under pressure in front of people. So these are called deadline competitions. This is the stuff that you could just bring in and drop off, okay, and enter that way. The first of which will be taking place on Monday, January 26th, and that once again is our hanging decor competition. You will have between noon and 1 o'clock on Monday, January 26th, to submit your entries and hang them in the space. You must have it all done within the hour of time that's allowed. This competition is sponsored by our friends at ClickClick. So obviously you are required to use ClickClick products in order to hang. I also need to emphasize that the room that these are going to be going in has a ceiling height of I want to say 18 feet, I think. And we want at least 9 feet of clearance over people so that people can't reach up and grab them. So keep that in mind. Also keep in mind that it can only be rigged in no more than 2 points. This is a change from last year. Last year was 3 points. You were allowed 3 rigging points. This time around, you're allowed 2. The reason for this is there are far fewer rig points in the space that it's going in. So we want to make sure that you can do it. Obviously, the safest thing to do is make it on 1. But you know, if you need multiple points, you're allowed 2. And the theme, by the way, for this year's hanging decor competition is the magic of flight. So you are allowed to do anything that pertains to flying. You can do a bird. You can do a plane or a rocket ship. You can do a UFO. You can do Aladdin's carpet, as long as you're not using Disney's Aladdin, right? Basically, anything that flies, anything and all that flies that's not intellectual property, you can use in this competition. You can design a helicopter. You can interpret this in lots of different ways. So that's the hanging decor competition. Once again, Monday, January 26th, you have from 12 to 1 to submit your entries. And finally, coming up on Tuesday, January 27th, courtesy of our friends at High Float, we will have once again the delivery piece competition. This is a competition where you have to bring and submit a delivery piece, something that's got to be easily transportable so that anybody can just pick it up and walk off with it. You must incorporate High Float into your design, whether it's in the helium balloons that you choose to use or somewhere else in the design. You may have to verify that, hey, this is where I used it. There's that. Thank you very much. So there's all that. And you will have to, therefore, show what's going on there. The theme for this year's competition is graduation. So we figured it was good timing because graduation season is coming up and a lot of us do lots and lots of graduation stuff. So it made perfect sense. So and remember, there's no pre-enrollment for the contests. All you do is just show up. So you do not have to pre-commit. You don't have to sign up in advance for these. You literally just walk in. Here's my entry. Boom. That way, if you don't make it, you don't have to do it. And you don't lose anything. Because again, these are contests. They're not part of the Designer of the Year Challenge. So there's that. So thank you once again to our friends at High Float for sponsoring that. Now, let's talk about judging and scoring. In all of our Designer of the Year competitions, there will be a first place, second place, third place, and a delegate's choice. Delegate's choice is a popular vote done by the attendees. So basically, everyone who's registered to attend as an academic delegate will get the chance to vote. Okay? Sorry, vendors, you don't get to vote. The float will have a panel of judges that will be scoring each of these entries. The judges are picked from a group of people that, for example, like let's say they're doing the sculpture competition. Well, we prefer to have somebody judge it who's familiar with doing sculptures, who actually familiar, maybe it was an award winner that's done them, right? One thing that won't happen is no one who is a salaried employee of a balloon manufacturer can be a judge, because obviously you run into skewed situations there, favoritism one way or the other. And that's just not a good thing. So we won't have that involved. But they will be scoring based on 5 different categories. First category is structural elements. How solid is the design? Does it look like it's falling apart? Does it look like it's well constructed? It's that kind of thing. Are mechanics showing? That kind of thing. This is where your design elements really come into play. Originality and creativity. How unique is this concept? Or if it's not unique, have they used some element or some aspect of balloon decor in a unique way? Have they done something with something we've seen 1,000 times, but then made it somehow different, right? Versus, is it just the same thing that we see over and over and over again? So obviously that'll be a factor in the judging as well. Visual elements. Cleanliness is next to godliness. How clean is the design? Are the color choices appropriate? Are there vectors is your eye led throughout the design? Is it balanced? All of those aspects that are very important to overall success. Range of skill. Did your entry require lots of different types of balloon manipulation? Or is it just one technique repeated over and over and over again? And if it is one technique over and over again, is it used in a way that we've never seen before? But that would be more creativity rather than range of skill. So don't get me wrong, it's okay if you only do 1 or 2 things. You just got to make damn sure it's really, really good. And finally, overall impact. This is the emotional response that you have to the piece. How does this piece make you feel? Does it tell a story? And if it makes you feel a certain way, do you think that's how you were supposed to feel? Or do you not? Are you having a feeling that you don't? Do you feel confused? Do you not get it? I was once told by the brilliant Bill McFadden a long time ago, if you look at something and you don't know what it is right away, you're out. So that's how important this rule is. Overall impact is still, this is the heartstring. This is the one that, like, did it make you laugh? Did it make you sad? Did it make you happy? Were you just blown away? Like, wow, all of that. That's part of this category. Now, we will have 5 different judges in each category, and they're going to score you between 0 and 10 points in each of those 5 categories I just listed. So you could get anywhere from 0 to 50 points. To be honest, the only way you're going to get a 0 is if you're disqualified. But we've seen some low scores. See that 6 on there? I've seen a 6 before. It's not pretty. Now, keep in mind though, sometimes people score you in different ways. See, we try to make it, we try to make sure that our judges are as impartial as possible. But obviously, in this industry, everybody knows everybody or knows of everybody. And so it's possible that personal feelings or brand affiliations or whatever could come into play. That is why we have this protection in place. The highest and the lowest scores are then eliminated from the judging tally. The 3 scores that remain will be the points that you get for your entry. So again, if we go back here, you see that there's a perfect 50 and there's a 6. Well, let's just say that the young lady that entered this competition is really attractive. And this dude over here is like, wow, 50. Meanwhile, another judge who thinks she's kind of a you-know-what doesn't like her and finds every reason in the world to score her down. Well, that's how we eliminate these problems. I mean, that's a silly example, of course, but yes, it can happen because you're dealing with people. So we will eliminate the highest and the lowest scores, and then that way you'll get the even number of points that's left over. The final 3 scores from all of the eligible competitions will be added up for your final overall score. So in other words, if you've entered 3 competitions, or I'm sorry, for this individual competition. So let's say one person has a score of 120, one person's got a score of 115, one person's got a score of 100, and then everybody else is below that. Well, the 115 or whatever is the first place, 110 second place, 100's third place, and so on. So that's how it would work, and that's how the top three winners would be decided upon. Now, keep in mind the Delegates' Choice Award is basically one award given to the top vote getter, but that has nothing to do with these scores. So the Designer of the Year and Delegates' Choice have nothing to do with each other. Speaking of Designer of the Year, in order to be eligible for Float's Designer of the Year, you must enter at least 3 of the Designer of the Year categories. That is entrance decor, sculpture, column design, centerpiece, or organic. You must enter at least 3 of those competitions in order to be eligible. You may, however, enter more than that. You may enter 4 or 5 of those competitions. You can enter all 5 if you want to. Keep in mind, if you do, then what will happen is the highest scores of the your 3 highest scores will be the ones that are applied towards Designer of the Year. So in other words, if you bomb one, that one's dropped. Then whatever your second lowest one is dropped, leaving the top 3. If you enter 4 competitions, your lowest score will be dropped. If you enter 5 competitions, the bottom 2 will be dropped. Now, some people see this as an opportunity. Well, this expands my chances of winning because I'm in more competitions. That means I got more room for success. But it can also mean that you are wasting energy on competitions that you already know you may suck in. And so it might be smarter for you to simply enter the ones that you know are your strengths. For example, you could enter sculpture on Friday, you could enter entrance on Saturday, and organic on Sunday. And in that way, you've got all afternoon on Saturday to refresh yourself, stock up on energy, whatever, blah, 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 go over your design, plan, organize, whatever, right? If you know you suck at centerpieces, or you know that maybe the column thing's just not your thing, you're not feeling the theme or whatever, then don't enter it. But at the same time, if you choose not to enter a competition, then your score for that competition is technically 0 as Designer of the Year. Okay? Hope that makes sense. The competitor with the most overall points out of their 3 eligible events wins the title of Designer of the Year, just like our previous winner, Alyssa Murray, from 2024. So there you go. Now, for those of you wondering, all of the rules and everything we talked about tonight will be available on our website on Tuesday. And the Designer of the Year entrance formally opens on Wednesday, November 12th. So you will be able to enter and sign up as a Designer of the Year entrance and put your deposit down starting this Wednesday, November 12th. Then any competition spaces that are open after that, if we have not sold out of Designer of the Year, any competition spaces that are left will be made available on Monday, November 17th. Now, what does that mean? Well, remember, let's say we have 10 people sign up for Designer of the Year, and everybody's like, well, that's it. It's already done. No, it's not. Because remember, they don't have to enter all 5 competitions. Now, when you enter the Designer of the Year, if you submit, you are expected to know which competitions you're going to enter. Because we have to be able to say, okay, we've sold out of this, we've sold out of that, we don't have enough of this, we don't have enough of that. Okay? So, in other words, in order for us to open up the rest of the competitions on Monday, we do have to know what competitions you're going to enter as Designer of the Year. There has been times when, I think there was one with last year. We had 10 Designer of the Years. Every one of them took entrance. So there was no way anybody else could enter the entrance competition. That does happen. And that will probably happen again this year if we have 10 Designer of the Year entries. So it just depends. But all that be available on November 12th and then again on November 17th.